My wife won $2 million in the lottery, immediately filed for divorce, and hid the winnings. She told the judge, "I have no assets." She forgot we live in a community property state, and I had a time-stamped photo of the winning ticket that she sent me the day she won. I showed the photo to the judge. I walked away with $1 million. She walked away with a perjury investigation. My wife, Karen, and I had a ritual. Every Friday, on my way home from the construction site, I'd stop at the same little convenience store and buy 2 lottery tickets. One for me, one for her. It was a silly, hopeful little tradition. $1 a week dream we shared. I never in a million years thought that dream would become the nightmare that would end my marriage. 3 months ago, that nightmare began. I was at work finishing up a long day when I got a text from her. It was a photo of a lottery ticket. The one I had bought for her that week. Below the ticket, she had typed a single frantic message. "Oh my God, Mark. I think I won. I think I actually won." I looked at the numbers. They matched the ones I had seen on the news website that morning. My heart started pounding in my chest. I called her immediately. She was screaming with joy, half crying, half laughing. $2 million mark, she yelled. The lump sum payout after taxes is just over $2 million. Can you believe it? Our lives are about to change forever. We celebrated that night. We ordered champagne and expensive takeout. We talked and dreamed for hours. We were going to pay off our mortgage, help out our parents, travel the world. It was the happiest I had seen her in years. It was also the last time I would ever truly see the woman I thought I had married. A week later, things started to get weird. Karen became distant, secretive. She started taking hushed phone calls in the other room. When I asked her about claiming the prize, she was suddenly vague. "I'm talking to a financial advisor," she'd say. "We need to be smart about this. Set up a trust or something. It's complicated." Then, 2 weeks after the win, I came home from work to find a letter on the kitchen table. It was from a lawyer. She was filing for divorce. The papers were already on their way. She wasn't there. Most of her clothes and personal belongings were gone. There was a short, brutally cold note. It said, "I need space. All future communication will be through my attorney." I was completely blindsided, devastated. I tried to call her, but she didn't answer. The dream of the lottery win had curdled into a personal catastrophe. I spent the next few days in a fog of grief and confusion. Why? After 10 years of marriage, why would she do this, and why now? The official divorce papers arrived a week later. As I read through them with a heavy heart, I got my answer. The papers included her financial disclosure, a sworn statement of all her assets. It was a simple, stark document. It listed her small savings account, her 5-year-old car, and nothing else. There was no mention of a $2 million lottery prize, and that's when the grief turned into a cold, hard resolve. She hadn't just decided to leave me. She had decided to steal from me. She had won the lottery during our marriage with a ticket I had bought with money from our shared household income. We live in Texas, a community property state. I knew, even without a lawyer, that half of that money was legally mine. Her plan was to time the divorce perfectly, hide the money, and lie to the legal system, hoping I was too heartbroken or too stupid to figure it out. She was banking on my devastation. She was counting on my ignorance, but she had made one colossal mistake. She had forgotten about the photograph. In her initial overwhelming excitement, she had sent me the time-stamped text message with a crystal-clear picture of the winning ticket. It was a digital receipt, a perfect piece of evidence, sent from her phone to mine on the exact date of the win, weeks before she filed for divorce. It was the smoking gun. I didn't confront her. I didn't send her an angry text. I knew that showing my hand too early would only give her time to create more lies, to move the money in more complicated ways. My grief had burned away, leaving behind a patient, calculated anger. She wanted a legal fight based on lies. I was going to give her a legal execution based on the truth. I sat there in my quiet, half-empty house, looking at the picture of that winning ticket on my phone. She thought that ticket was her key to a new life without me. She had no idea it was about to become the key to her own destruction. Update 1. The 2 months that followed were a masterclass in psychological endurance. I had to live in a world where I was the grieving abandoned husband, all while secretly holding the key to the entire case. I followed my gut and hired a good, honest, but not flashy divorce lawyer. I didn't need a shark. I just needed a competent professional who would let me play my hand at the right time. I showed my lawyer, a man named Mr. Chen, the text message on the first day we met. He looked at the photo, looked at the timestamp, and then looked back at me. A slow, grim smile spread across his face. "Well, Mr. Peterson," he said, "this is what we in the legal profession call an ace in the hole. Her entire case is built on a lie, and you have irrefutable proof of it." His advice was the same as my own gut instinct. Be patient. We had to let her build her house of cards as high as possible before we knocked it down. If we revealed the evidence too early, she and her lawyer could try to spin it to create a story, to muddy the waters. We had to let her commit to her lie fully and completely in a formal, legally binding way. The first step was the exchange of financial disclosures. As I expected, her official notarized documents were a work of fiction. Her list of assets was minuscule. Under the section titled Gifts, Prizes, or Inheritances Received in the Last 12 Months, she had simply written none. She had signed the document under penalty of perjury. It was a clean, beautiful lie. We responded with my own completely honest financial disclosure. We also sent a standard set of questions called interrogatories for her to answer. One of the questions was simple and direct. Have you, at any time during the marriage, purchased a lottery ticket that resulted in a prize exceeding $1,000? Her lawyer sent back her sworn answers a few weeks later. To that question, she had written a single word, no. The lie was now officially on the record in multiple legal documents signed by her under oath. The trap was slowly closing. Living with the knowledge of her betrayal was the hardest part. Her friends, none of whom knew about the lottery win, would call me offering sympathy. "We can't believe she did this to you, Mark," they'd say. "She just changed overnight." I had to thank them for their kindness, all while knowing she hadn't just changed. She had cashed in. Karen, meanwhile, was living her best life. She had rented a lavish, expensive apartment downtown. She was driving a new luxury car. She was posting pictures on social media of her new fabulous single life, pictures of shopping sprees, expensive dinners, and weekend getaways. She was flaunting a lifestyle that her declared assets could never support. Her arrogance was breathtaking. She thought she was untouchable. Her lawyer was just as arrogant. He was aggressive, condescending, and clearly believed he was dealing with a simple man he could easily railroad. He sent us a settlement offer that was insulting. It offered me a tiny fraction of our shared savings and demanded I sign away any and all future claims. He was trying to bully me into a quick, cheap exit before I could figure anything out. We refused the offer. Mr. Chen simply wrote back, "My client does not accept your client's proposed settlement. We will see you at the deposition." The deposition was scheduled for last week. This was the moment we had been waiting for. It wasn't a courtroom, but it was just as serious. It was a formal recorded interview where she would have to answer our questions under oath with a court reporter transcribing every single word. This was where we would give her the final chance to either come clean or to irrevocably commit perjury. I knew that in that room, her lies would finally run out of road, and I would be there to see it happen. Update 2. The deposition was held in a sterile conference room at a neutral law office. The air was thick with tension. I sat at one end of the long, polished table with my lawyer, Mr. Chen. At the other end sat Karen, her arrogant lawyer and a court reporter. Karen looked incredible. She was wearing a chic, expensive-looking dress. Her hair was perfect, and she carried herself with an air of untouchable confidence. She looked like a woman who had just won the lottery. She gave me a brief pitying glance as she sat down, the kind you'd give a stray dog. For the first hour, Mr. Chen was calm and methodical. He asked her basic questions about our marriage, our finances, our separation. Karen's answers were smooth, rehearsed, and full of subtle digs at me. She painted herself as the ambitious, forward-thinking partner who had simply outgrown her simple, complacent husband. Then Mr. Chen slowly pivoted. "Mrs. Peterson," he said, his tone still gentle. "Let's talk about your assets. You stated in your financial disclosure that you have no significant assets other than your savings account and your car. Is that still accurate today?" "Yes, it is," she said, her voice full of confidence. "And you have not received any large sums of money, any gifts, prizes, or windfalls of any kind in the past year?" No, I have not, she said, looking him straight in the eye. This was it. Mr. Chen paused, looked down at his notes, and then looked back up at her. The gentleness was gone from his voice. Mrs. Peterson, he said, his voice now sharp and clear. On the afternoon of April 12th, did you send your husband a text message? A flicker of confusion crossed her face. I don't remember a specific text message. Let me refresh your memory, Mr. Chen said, sliding a printed photograph across the table. It was a high-quality printout of her text message to me, the picture of the winning ticket, her excited words, the time stamp. Karen stared at the paper. The color drained from her face. Her lawyer snatched the paper up, his eyes widening in panic as he read it. Is this your phone number? Mr. Kapchin asked calmly. Is this a photograph you took? Is this a message you sent to my client on April 12th? Karen was speechless. She just stared at the paper, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. Her lawyer leaned over and whispered frantically in her ear. I don't recall. She finally stammered. You don't recall sending your husband a picture of a $2 million winning lottery ticket? Mr. Chen pressed, his voice booming in the quiet room. A ticket purchased during your marriage with marital funds, making it community property under the laws of this state. Her lawyer jumped in. My client has answered the question, he blustered. We can move on. I'm afraid we cannot, Mr. Chen said, his voice like ice, because we now have a very serious problem. Your client has, on multiple sworn legal documents, denied the existence of this prize, and she has just, under oath in this deposition, denied it again. This is no longer just a divorce proceeding. This is a criminal matter. This is perjury. He let that word hang in the air, perjury. He then turned to the court reporter. Please mark this document as Exhibit A, he said. And please note for the record that the witness was unable to identify her own text message. Karen's lawyer immediately asked for a recess. He pulled her out of the room. I could hear their muffled, frantic voices from the hallway. When they came back in 10 minutes later, their entire demeanor had changed. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a pale, sweaty terror. Her lawyer looked at Mr. Blapp. Chen, our client is prepared to amend her financial disclosure, he said, his voice shaky. Mr. Chen just smiled, a cold, sharp smile. Oh, I'm sure she is, he said. But it's a little late for that. We are not interested in amending anything. We are interested in justice. This deposition is over. We will see you in front of the judge. Final update. The final hearing was scheduled for 6 weeks after the disastrous deposition. That time was a flurry of frantic, desperate activity from Karen's side. Her arrogant lawyer was fired, replaced by a seasoned criminal defense attorney. They sent us a series of increasingly desperate settlement offers. First, they offered me 20% of the winnings, then 30, then 40. They finally offered a full $50.50 split, begging us to settle out of court and to agree not to report the perjury to the district attorney. I discussed it with Mr. Chen. It's a good offer, he said. You get your $1 million and we could all walk away. No. I said without a moment's hesitation. This was never just about the money. This was about the lie. She didn't just try to steal from me. She tried to use the court system to do it. She lied under oath. That's an attack on the system itself. I want a judge to hear this. I refused to settle. I wanted my day in court. The day of the hearing was surreal. Karen looked like a different person. The confident, glamorous woman from the deposition was gone. She was pale, thin, and she couldn't even look at me. The hearing itself was short. Mr. Chen presented the evidence methodically. He showed the judge the initial divorce filing with the fraudulent financial disclosure. He presented the sworn interrogatories where she had denied the winnings. He submitted the transcript of the deposition where she had lied under oath. And finally, he presented Exhibit A, the time-stamped text message. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, looked at the mountain of evidence. She looked at Karen, her expression one of utter contempt. She didn't even need to hear our arguments. In my 20 years on the bench, the judge said, her voice ringing with authority, I have rarely seen a more blatant and foolish attempt to defraud this court and espouse. The deceit is as staggering as it is amateurish. She turned to Karen. You have committed perjury, ma'am. You have lied under oath multiple times. That is a serious felony, an offense against the very foundation of our legal system. The judge's ruling was swift and brutal. She awarded me exactly 50% of the post-tax lottery winnings. $1,042,500. She ordered the funds, which had been frozen by the court after the deposition, to be transferred to my account immediately. She denied all of Karen's claims for spousal support and awarded me all of my legal fees to be paid out of Karen's remaining half of the money. Then she delivered the final blow. She looked down at Karen, her face like stone, and said, "And as for the matter of your testimony, I am referring this entire case file along with the recommendation for a full criminal investigation to the district attorney's office. You have perjured yourself in my courtroom. You will now have to answer for that." I walked out of that courtroom a free man with a check for over $1 million coming my way. Karen walked out of that courtroom on her way to becoming a convicted felon. The aftermath was exactly as you'd expect. She is now facing a lengthy and expensive criminal battle that will likely end with her having a permanent criminal record. Her legal fees have already eaten up a huge portion of her winnings. She has lost everything. Her husband, her reputation, and a significant portion of the very prize she had tried to steal. I never wanted any of this. I just wanted a life with the woman I loved. But when she showed me who she truly was, I had to make a choice. I chose to fight for the truth. She thought her greed was her greatest weapon. She was wrong. My greatest weapon was the simple, undeniable truth sent in a single text message, and in the end, the truth won.